Hello, class. This is my speech, How Culture Paired with Conflict Shape Successful Teams and Work Environments. I could speak for a lot of us when we've all held jobs, no matter how high the role is, or simple retail, or even some of you guys that might take corporate jobs and internships. We all have been in situations and work environments where it's a very healthy work environment. Everyone's on the same page, and it's like a well-oiled machine, very easy flowing. And I think on the other side of it, we can talk about where things have felt tense, confusing, maybe a lack of trust and respect towards everyone involved in the party. And I think a lot of that just comes down to how teams handle communication in the workplace. And paired with that is how they handle conflict. I feel like when people feel supported and respected and are allowed to speak up in the workplace, it's easier to talk through problems and conflicts. I feel like less people feel offended, more people are open to talk and share their opinions because it's the end goal of wanting it to work. But when communication isn't as prioritized or not as efficient, or I'd say preached about how necessary it is, it's, way easier to avoid those hard conversations and tension builds up and it comes to a breaking point where everything falls apart. During the speech, I'll talk about how culture and conflict connect to teamwork, with mentions of chapter 7 and 8 in Press Books, the TED Talk by Jonathan Marks, and the YouTube videos on meetings. All these show that conflict isn't necessarily a problem. It's a necessity and something that will always happen. And it's the way, if it's managed right, you can work past it. And honestly, it helps build the continuity in the work culture. My first point is culture sets the tone for how teams communicate. Pressbooks chapter 7 talks about how culture is basically the shared value and habit that shape people, and how they act and how they go about their day in work. When culture is positive, healthy, um, good habits are encouraged, people feel respected and supported, and that makes communication smoother, more honest, more transparent, and again, kind of a teamwork situation. Everyone's comfortable with each other. The chapter also talks about when people, when it's safe to speak up. People don't want to be judged for asking questions or sharing their own personal ideas. And if they are judged, it leads to disengagement and conflict. The kind of open culture where everyone's allowed to speak their opinions leads to everything being handled better. My second main point is healthy conflict helps teams think smarter. In the TED Talk, Jonathan Marks talks about how conflict shouldn't be seen as something negative. It's actually how new ideas get proposed. When people disagree respectfully and with maturity and focus on the issue at hand and not just the coworkers or the person saying the conflict, it helps teams come with better solutions that in return help the business and again promote a more open work environment. Chapter 8 backs this up by saying how constructive conflict, which is talks about, open discussion, and again with an end goal to solve the conflict instead of point fingers and blame people. Um, Open and respectful discussions help teams clear up misunderstandings, and when teams can debate openly, again without making it personal, pointing fingers, it makes a stronger group a stronger team. But for that to work, the team still needs to have good leadership at the top. Again, we've talked about in pretty much almost all these speeches. It always starts with the leadership. They set the example. They set the guide. No matter what the guidelines are, they set the tone. So the team still needs good leadership to guide the conversation and keep things productive. My third main point, good leaders turn conflict into teamwork. The YouTube video about meetings explains that a lot of workplace conflict comes from bad communication in meetings. A strong leader keeps meetings focused, makes sure everyone gets a chance to talk, and prevents arguments from turning into um, giant conflicts, things that, conflicts that are bigger than it needs to be. Again, they keep the meetings focused, they keep it time condensed, they invite the right people in the situations, and the biggest thing is they're kind of like a regulator, kind of like a referee. They have the points needed to talk about, especially with conflicts and all that. And their job is to keep everyone focused, keep everyone on task. And I think the biggest thing is, again, prevent an argument. You don't want to make the conflict bigger than the situation itself. Chapter 8 also mentions that leaders have to model good communication. We've talked about this before. Again, leaders and communication go hand in hand. There's no good communication if the leader isn't promoting it or leading by example. Things like active listening and showing respect are two simple things that leaders can do that promote this good communication and everyone picks up on. When employees see that conflict is okay as long as it's handled maturely and respectfully, and again, people feel supported and talking up and things like that, when conflict is handled okay, more people trust each other and the team works better overall. To wrap it all up, Good teams are built on two things: a positive culture and the ability to have healthy conflict and disagreement. Culture gives people a sense of belonging in the workplace and trust. Conflict, when managed well, helps teams grow better and find better answers to solutions, and in return, could probably make better products. No matter what the business is, I think you're always stronger. It's kind of like working out. That's the way I treat it. When you work out, you're tearing the muscle fibers. That's kind of the conflict, but it builds back stronger. That's kind of like how I view conflict when it's handled respectfully in the workplace. It's minor setback, major comeback, short-term problem, long-term solution. So if you're able to handle that well, because nothing's ever going to be smooth sailing. It's never ever going to work perfectly. And when you're mature about that and you realize like, hey, these problems are going to come up. We know this. Instead of pointing fingers, instead of getting mad, let's explain, let's see where we got it wrong. Let's adjust, reset, and be better for the future. Everything works better. Healthy work environment. Everyone is more open. Everyone has trust. And again, you build that teamwork and that continuity. When leaders encourage open communication and handle conflict the right way, teams aren't just getting along better. They perform better and they want to perform for each other. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great day.